Sean. Coach, you're headed to another national championship. What can you say about the performance of your team today?
Well, I was really pleased with the way we played in the game. We knew it was going to be a tough game.
In January 2024, a 72-year-old man walked away from college football.
First of all, having an undefeated season, but secondly, for winning the SEC championship.
And left behind a resume that no one will ever match. 7 national championships, 6 of them at one school, 11 SEC titles, 17 years on top of the toughest conference in America. But here's what most people don't know. Nick Saban wasn't always the process. He wasn't always the most feared man in college football. He was almost fired, multiple times.
All right, so you got to focus and not get the external factors have any factor on how you focus in this game.
He failed in the NFL. He got called a liar on national television, and it nearly ended his career before it started. This is the story of how a coal miner's son from West Virginia built the greatest dynasty college football has ever seen, and what it actually cost him to get there. Nick Saban's coaching career didn't start with a big program or a famous mentor. It started as a graduate assistant at Kent State, making almost nothing, breaking down film late into the night for a team most of the country had never heard of. He wasn't chasing money, he was chasing knowledge. Over the next several years, he bounced from job to job. Kent State, Syracuse, West Virginia, Ohio State, absorbing every defensive scheme he could find, uprooting his young family again and again for jobs that came with more film work than salary. By the mid-1980s, that grinding apprenticeship had turned him into a defensive coordinator, including a stint with Bill Belichick on the Cleveland Browns staff, a relationship that would matter more than anyone realized at the time. He was building a reputation as a sharp defensive mind, but nobody was calling him a legend yet. Nobody was calling him anything yet. He was just a coach who refused to stop climbing. In 1995, Saban got his first head coaching job at Michigan State, and immediately, people saw the intensity that would become his trademark. He benched his star players for missing curfew. He ran off guys who didn't buy in. He was suffocatingly demanding, and East Lansing didn't always love him for it. But the results came. He turned a mediocre program into a consistent winner, going 34-24-1 over 5 seasons and beating Ohio State, something Michigan State fans hadn't gotten used to. It wasn't a dynasty. It wasn't even a Big Ten title, but it was proof of concept. Discipline plus detail plus relentless recruiting equaled winning, even at a school that wasn't supposed to compete with the big boys. Then LSU called. LSU in 2000 was a sleeping giant, talent-rich state, mediocre results. Saban took over and immediately did what he'd do everywhere for the next 2 decades.
I had been in the NFL for a few years, so I kind of forgot exactly what college football was like.
He out-recruited everyone, outworked everyone, and made practice harder than games. By year 3, LSU won the SEC. By year 4, in 2003, LSU won the national championship. Saban's first, built on a defense that suffocated opponents and a roster stacked through relentless in-state recruiting. He was now, unquestionably, one of the best coaches in America. And then he did something that stunned college football. He left for the NFL. The Miami Dolphins job looked like a dream. It fell apart fast. Saban's rigid, detail-obsessed style, the exact thing that worked so well on 19-year-olds, didn't translate to grown men making millions of dollars who'd heard it all before. He went 15-17 in 2 seasons. The locker room reportedly tuned him out. And then came the moment that would follow him for the rest of his career. Late in the 2006 season, with Alabama's job opening up, a reporter asked Saban directly if he was leaving for Tuscaloosa. He denied it flatly, said he wasn't going anywhere. Weeks later, he was standing in Bryant-Denny Stadium as Alabama's new head coach. College football fans have never let him forget it. But that failure in Miami taught him something crucial. He wasn't built to manage grown professionals with leverage. He was built to develop young players who needed structure. Alabama would become the perfect canvas and the perfect testing ground for the entire operating system. Alabama in 2007 was a fallen giant. Probation, mediocrity, a program that hadn't won a title in over a decade. Saban's first season went 7-6. Fans were nervous. Then it clicked. And when it clicked, it didn't just click. It became the most dominant run in the sport's modern history. This is where the process actually took shape as a system, not just a personality trait. Saban's entire philosophy was built on one idea: don't focus on outcomes, focus on execution of the task directly in front of you. Winning was treated as a byproduct, not a goal. Every practice rep, every meeting, every workout was scored and evaluated as if it were the national championship itself. 3 things made this machine unbeatable. Recruiting. Saban treated recruiting like a year-round corporate operation, not a seasonal scramble. Alabama consistently landed the top-ranked class in the country, and Saban personally sold parents on player development, not just playing time. Staff development. Saban didn't just build a roster, he built a coaching factory. Assistants who came through his system went on to become head coaches all over the country, which meant Alabama's schemes and standards spread across the sport, while Saban still had the deepest coaching pipeline in America. Adaptability. This is the part people underestimate most. The Saban of 2009 ran a bruising, run-first, defense-first offense. By the mid-2010s, watching spread offenses torch him, he blew up his own system and brought in Lane Kiffin to install an up-tempo passing attack. Most legendary coaches get outdated. Saban kept rebuilding the machine before it broke. The championships piled up: 2009, 2011, 2012, 2015, 2017, 2020. 6 titles at Alabama, 7 total, tying him with Bear Bryant for the most in the modern poll era. So what actually separated Saban from every other great coach? It wasn't just talent evaluation. Plenty of coaches can identify a 5-star recruit. It was that Saban never let success soften the standard. Players who won championships were held to the exact same demands as freshmen who'd never played a snap. There was no comfort zone, no "we've earned a break," ever. It also wasn't luck of timing. Saban faced constant roster turnover as NFL caliber players left early, dealt with a total upheaval of the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness in his final seasons, and still adapted the program to stay ahead of a completely new financial landscape in college sports that didn't exist for most of his career. And it wasn't ego, at least not the kind that got in the way. Saban was famously miserable even in victory, notoriously more focused on the next opponent than the trophy in his hands. That discomfort with satisfaction was the engine. He treated every year like the streak could end tomorrow, because he'd seen it happen to other dynasties, and he refused to let complacency be the thing that ended his. By 2023, the sport had changed underneath him. Players could transfer freely and get paid directly through NIL deals, turning roster building into something closer to free agency than recruiting. Saban had spent his whole career mastering a sport built on control. Control of culture, control of development, control of the standard. The new landscape took a lot of that control away. Rather than fight a version of the sport he didn't believe in anymore, he retired in January 2024, handing the program to Kalen DeBoer. He didn't leave in disgrace. He didn't leave in decline, really. Alabama was still competing for championships. He left on his own terms, which is rarer in coaching than almost anything else he accomplished. Nick Saban coached for over 4 decades. He failed in the NFL. He got dragged for the lie about leaving Miami. He nearly walked away from coaching entirely more than once. But he built something that had never existed in college football before. A dynasty that didn't rely on one great quarterback or one golden era. It relied on a system so demanding, so obsessively detailed, that it outlasted rule changes, playoff formats, entire eras of the sport itself. The scoreboard says 7 championships. The real number is bigger than that. It's every coach in America right now running a piece of a system Nick Saban built out of a coal town in West Virginia and a father who never let a streak on a windshield slide.